But I think that most minimalists who've been minimalists for a very long time, they tend to leave the grid and never come back. So we don't know what happened to them. So they don't tell us what happened in the adding phase of minimalism. So luckily for you guys, social media is something that I still do enjoy as a minimalist. So hey there, my handsome and pretty little Cobras, and welcome back to the Cobras Nest. For those of you who are new, my name is Mignon Cobra and I make minimalism videos. So today's minimalism video is going to be the adding phase of minimalism. So without further ado, let's just get to the video. Let's get it, let's go. Woo. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys today 4 things that I think could help you out if you are in an adding phase of minimalism. So as you guys know, I've been a minimalist for quite some time, about 8 years, and in my minimalism journey, I have to say that I've probably not come across this concept of the adding phase of minimalism. It sounds very counterintuitive to the entire notion, which is minimalizing, but I think that most minimalists who've been minimalists for a very long time, they tend to leave the grid and never come back. So we don't know what happened to them. So they don't tell us what happened in the adding phase of minimalism. So luckily for you guys, social media is something that I still do enjoy as a minimalist. So it happens when you go through a cycle of decluttering, years have gone by and you're kind of like, you got that itch and you want to bring things back in, but you're just feeling so guilty because you feel like you're not being a good minimalist. Okay, number 1, what sparks joy? I know we're like thinking this is so cliche. We're just like rolling our eyes thinking, oh my god, like you have to give credit where credit is due. But honestly, Marie Kondo, she has been doing this since the 90s. She knows exactly what she's talking about. I completely agree with this point. There comes a point, and this is something that like I learned in Zen, where you just have to ask yourself like, okay, what is the point of life? What is a thing that sparks joy for you? And honestly, it changes throughout the years. Something that might have sparked joy for you in the past doesn't mean that it has to spark joy for you in the future, which is probably why the decluttering cycle never really truly ends. If you've been a minimalist for a couple years, you guys know what I'm talking about. So anyway, it's just kind of asking yourself, does it spark joy? And not in the sense that like it makes you feel like super elated, but just this idea, like when you hold a piece and you ask yourself like, is this gonna continue to serve a function? Is it like adding to my life? Is it just like on a practical and on a realistic level, like is this still like part of my life? And it's okay to let go of things that used to be part of your life. If you guys have seen my recent decluttering videos, I was like letting go of like my absolute favorite shirts because yes, they served a function in the past, but they're completely like worn out and tattered, and that's just like not us living our best life. So it's okay, you can let it go. Number 2, talking about hobbies. It's okay if it needs more tools. So that's something that is not popular in the minimalism community. Sometimes if you have a certain hobby and it takes up a lot of tools, it's probably something that you should consider getting rid of, which is something that I don't agree with, but I'll be honest, was something I was guilty of in the past. I didn't let myself have certain types of hobbies that required more things, and I'm sure you guys can think of a bunch of examples, but the example that I'll give that is the one that I can think of is the idea of like art and like creative things. Sometimes it does require more tools. Like I'll give my YouTube channel for example. The majority of the things that I own, or the bulk of the things that I own, is like tech, camera, laptops, monitors, keyboards, video editing, like external things, external storage. There's a lot of stuff, and if I was a minimalist who didn't consume social media content, maybe that is something that I just would not have. Like that is like half of my stuff. So what I'm trying to say is, if you have done your due diligence, you have decluttered, you have minimized, you have soul searched, and you have come to the firm conclusion that this hobby adds value to your life, I think that that is you using your minimalism properly, and it is perfectly okay to bring in more tools for said hobby. Okay, number 3, adding more activities that add to your life. So as I've mentioned in some of my other videos, I did a lot of nature stuff when I first came back to Canada, and honestly, nature stuff is really boring. But you can really only say that when you try it. Experiment trying with adding activities into your life as opposed to adding more material things into your life. Because we're talking about the adding phase of minimalism, right? We're adding things back into our life. And I'm not saying don't add physical stuff into your life. I'm sure you can. But if you want to enrich your life, and obviously don't take my word for it, material things can be enriching, but they're not going to be as enriching as your memories, and your memories come from the things that you do, not the things that you own. Again, I know it's like minimalism jargon and like mantra that we've all heard a bajillion times, and it could just be an age thing. When I was a younger minimalist in my 20s, like I didn't really subscribe to these notions. I just wanted to accumulate stuff. I didn't really want to do stuff. I wanted to shop and I wanted to buy, even as a minimalist. Like I'm only human. Like I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm enlightened. But the thing is, with time, I've actually kind of realized, maybe that's what it is, it's just experience. I've just kind of realized that doing stuff, adding activities into my life has been the thing that's made me most happy. Okay, number 4, only you know if the cost is worth it. So you could watch all the minimalism videos under the sun trying to justify a certain purchase. And I say this because these were the issues that I had. I used to want to buy this or want to buy that, but it wasn't minimalistic. And I was like, how can I justify this and be a good minimalist? So I will be the minimalist who gives you permission. If you have figured it out that this is something that suits your life and is not typical minimalism, go for it. Honestly, you don't need anybody else's permission but your own. You already have that internal voice that tells you what it is that you want and what you seek. I know that sometimes because we're social creatures, we need that external validation, but at least for me, it took me a really long time for me to be able to internalize my own voice and my own permission. I felt like I needed to listen to other minimalists' guidelines in order to justify certain things in my life, but I'm in a place now, and maybe that's just the thing. Once you go on a journey long enough, you start to kind of realize your own voice is the most important voice. As you guys know, and I've made this quite obvious on my channel, I love jewelry. So I have these earrings, these I love shiny things, which is usually something that was not common in minimalism when I first started. When I first started, minimalism was the very radical style. That was what I was exposed to when I was younger, and I didn't have as much guidance on what I could and could not do. I really had to forge my own path. Wearing makeup was also a no-no in the minimalism community. So it gets to a point where you just kind of have to put your foot down and think, you know what, this is important to me, and it's okay if other people in my same niche don't agree with me. So I hope that you enjoyed the adding phase of minimalism and gave you some food for thought, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.